The lost crystal skulls. Legend tells us there are 13 of them left for us by an ancient civilization, or even from beings not of this world.
You have an artifact that seemingly can't be made by humans on this planet.
They are objects of rare beauty and a universal symbol of death.
You look at it and it's glowing.
Of the handful of skulls that have been found, most are human-sized, carved of quartz crystal, and believed by some to have strange powers that baffle scientists.
The moment you carve a crystal into a skull, something happens.
The crystal skulls are made from the same type of material that we now use in our microchips.
Together, they are said to contain the secrets of the universe. Secrets that some claim will save mankind from an Armageddon prophesied by the ancient Mayan calendar. It tells us the world will end in 2012.
Many people believe that 2012 signifies cataclysm.
Over the millennia, some of the skulls and their secrets have scattered to the four winds. And legends tell us they must be reunited to prevent the coming doomsday. With time running out, can we track them down? Our journey leads us from the jungles of Central America to a barrier reef loaded with sunken treasure, and all the way to the moon.
The question, of course, in my mind was, did the astronauts bring it home?
As Indiana Jones prepares to enter the kingdom of the Crystal Skull, join us in a real adventure.
Wow, so that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to say, hey, there's crystal here.
With the clock ticking, can we track down the remaining skulls before it's too late?
I feel that there's something underneath the ground here.
Join us as we attempt to solve the mystery of the Crystal Skulls.
Hello, I'm Lester Holt. This is where the mystery of the Crystal Skull begins, amid ancient ruins in the tiny country of Belize. Like a real-life Indiana Jones, British adventurer F.A. Mitchell Hedges and his daughter Anna claim to have discovered a human-sized skull made of quartz during an expedition in the 1920s. It was the first of 13 ancient skulls said to exist. Tonight, we are going to retrace their steps in an effort to find the one still missing and perhaps finally explain the mystery of the crystal skulls.
Here in the jungles of Belize, it's 90 degrees, 90% humidity, and 100% grueling for an American adventure seeker named Bill Holman.
We have to watch out for alligators. I feel that there is something here.
Officially, he's trying to retrace the steps of a famous explorer. But little do the people here know, he's searching for his personal holy grail. He's going to track down a missing crystal skull.
Yeah, this is an opening. This is a doorway, and I'm going to try to open it up and see what's down in this thing.
There are several legends swirling around crystal skulls, and their origins are shrouded by the mists of time. Some say the crystal skulls were carved by Maya artisans and offered to the gods. Others say the skulls were created by an ancient and advanced civilization, like Atlantis. And there are those who believe the skulls are extraterrestrial objects, left here as crystal repositories of great knowledge.
Now, although this might sound at first a little far-fetched, one has to remember that the crystal skulls are made from the same type of material that we now use in our microchips. And if you think of the amount of information that we now store inside a tiny quartz crystal silicon chip inside a computer, just think how much information might be stored inside a crystal skull.
Only a handful of scientists have been able to examine the crystal skulls, and the results of these experiments are mixed. It's only increased the mystery and controversy surrounding the skulls, leading some to claim the skulls are fakes.
The various crystal skulls, not one of them has any real documentation as to where it came from.
To classify these skulls is very interesting because
Science, which we're dealing with now, the sciences of anthropology and archaeology, they can tell us very little. Basically, you can't date crystal.
Although there are thousands of crystal skulls in existence, some coming in spectacular shapes and colors, most of the experts we spoke to agree there are a total of 13 ancient crystal skulls. These skulls are thought to be thousands of years old. There is a general consensus that only 8 of the 13 ancient crystal skulls have been discovered, and this expedition has been launched to find one or more of the missing skulls.
I feel that there's still a number of crystal skulls still left. I'm just kind of drawn to this place.
If you haven't heard much about crystal skulls, you're not alone. They've occupied an obscure place in popular culture. They first appeared in newspaper articles in the late 19th century. Archaeologists began to study them soon after. By the mid-20th century, crystal skulls were on display in the British Museum, the Museum of Man in Paris, and the Smithsonian. A small number of books have been written about the skulls. And television programs like Stargate Atlantis have explored the legend behind these mysterious objects.
This is incredible.
All of that obscurity is about to change now that Harrison Ford fights the powers of evil to get his hands on a crystal skull in the new movie Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. If there was ever a real-life Indiana Jones, then F.A. Mitchell Hedges would be him. He was tall, swashbuckling, a true adventurer. Here he is in the 1920s, hat on head and pipe in mouth, standing on the docks, watching as his boat is lowered into the bay. Soon he would be sailing off to British Honduras, now known as Belize, for an expedition.
He really went out there into remote areas. He searched for lost cities. He lived with the Indians in the jungle. We believed he was discovering evidence of Atlantis. And it makes a lot of sense that someone like him would ultimately come into possession of the famous crystal skull.
His adopted daughter, Anna, says she found the skull while her father was excavating the Maya ruin known as Lubantun.
Just before my 17th birthday, I went for a climb. And the sun was very, very strong. And I saw something shining back in my face. And I got very, very excited. So I went and told my father. And the following morning, before I got up, he had everybody getting to move the stones from the top of the building. And then when the hole was big enough, I was let down with 2 ropes and a light on my head and on my shoulder. And that's where I had found the crystal skull.
But instead of giving the crystal skull back to the Maya, Mitchell Hedges is said to have spirited the skull out of the country. The year was 1924. 84 years later, this man, Bill Holman, is the keeper of the world's most famous crystal skull, an object so valuable he keeps it locked away in a safe in his hometown in Indiana. But as Bill travels from the United States to Belize, he is convinced that authorities there will seize the original skull if he dared to carry it across the border.
Do you remember the first time you came to this site?
I came here with Anna Mitchell Hedges.
Here at Lubantun, Bill Holman unveils an exact replica of the Mitchell Hedges skull.
Yeah, can I take a look at it? I'd love to see it.
Like you say, the original is in 2 pieces. It has the bottom half jaw, and it's hinged to the top half. This right here is exactly a replica, so you can see...
It's the same size?
Same size, same shape, exactly. But if you check out the workmanship, it even has the little ridges that a human skull has.
And what do you say to those who just don't believe the story of how it was found?
Well, you know what? I'm very happy with everybody's story. It doesn't bother me at all. I want, everybody to... It's good to have their opinion,
Very few scientists have had a good look at the Mitchell Hedges skull. In the mid to late 1960s, Anna Mitchell Hedges loaned the skull to an art restorer, the late Frank Dorland. And just before she arrived to get it back, Dorland sneaked the skull into the crystal laboratories at the Hewlett-Packard Corporation.
Dorland was able to immerse the crystal skull at the Hewlett-Packard labs in a special alcohol solution that was the same gravity as the quartz crystal itself. With that, they were shining lasers and special lights into the crystal skull to catch the faceting and the axis of the skull. And what they found there was that the skull had special light wells built into it that channeled light into the eye sockets and the mouth of the skull.
Dorland concluded that if the Maya had created the crystal skull, it would have taken them 300 years of constant polishing and rubbing.
But they could find no evidence of any kind of tool marks, either hand tool marks or machine tool marks. And that's what led, apparently, one member of the team to say, this skull shouldn't even exist.
Interest in the electronic properties of crystal is not confined to a band of skull enthusiasts. NASA scientists have been experimenting with crystals for decades, trying to discover new ways to build high-speed semiconductors. NASA wanted uncontaminated crystals, and the best place to grow them is in zero gravity. But there may be a darker side to these tests.
There are things government deems so dangerous, it will not reveal them under pain of whatever.
Richard C. Hoagland is a writer, researcher, and former NASA consultant. He sees a link between these NASA experiments and the tests performed on the Mitchell-Hedges skull at the Hewlett-Packard labs.
The optical properties of Mitchell-Hedges indicate that someone was giving us clues that there's complexity here. It appears to me, from my reading of the analysis, that it was literally synthesized, fused together in a process that would have required zero gravity and maybe the deliberate growing of the crystals.
The question Hoagland and others are asking is what kind of advanced civilization was capable of designing and carving a crystal skull.
When it comes to crystal skulls, you get as many opinions as you have people. You know, everybody has their own opinion.
Bill Holman's opinions come from the source. He met Anna Mitchell-Hedges in 1981, and despite a 30-year age difference, the two were married in the late 1990s. As he got to know Anna, Holman grew transfixed by the story she told about her famous father.
And we arrived in Belize, and we went into the jungle, which was very difficult. And we arrived near Lubantun, and my father stumbled on a stone there, and he shouted to the world, "We can't be very far from this lost city."
What inspires me about Mitchell-Hedges is, in this day and age, there's no real heroes, okay? Mitchell-Hedges, Anna Mitchell-Hedges, they are my hero. You know, they're someone that you can look up to for something they've done in their life that they believed in, and they gave their whole self for it.
Over the years, Anna shared many of her most guarded secrets with Bill, stories hinting at the unfinished business her father left behind. Anna handed Bill original documents, never-before-seen photographs, and hand-drawn maps, all pointing to the location of buried treasure still languishing in the ruins of faraway places. And then, before she died in 2007, Anna handed Bill her most prized possession, the crystal skull.
You know, at first, I wasn't really sure what to do, but it seems like it's something that comes through you and takes